In this tutorial, we will understand how we can arrange panels on Photoshop interface. There is a number of panels available to Photoshop. It displays some of them panels by default. We can view all the panel available to Photoshop underneath the window menu. We can see that the panels that are shown on the right side have a check mark next to them in the Windows menu. If we click on the Swatches panel in order to bring it to the foreground, we can find that the Color panel no longer has a check. But the Swatches panel does. In order to view additional panels, we can just click them on the list. Some of the panels are automatically nested with other panels. For example, the Info panel is nested with the Properties panel by default. There are a variety of different states that a panel can be in. It can be in an icon view, an icon plus label, or expanded. So, right now the Info panel is expanded, as are the Swatches, Libraries, and Layers panels. We can arrange the expanded view into iconic view by clicking these two right arrows. In order to see the icon plus the label, we can click and drag out to the left. We'll see not only the icon but also the name of the panel. Here we have a little grabber handle which can use to rearrange the panels. For example, we can place the History panel below the Properties and Info panel by clicking and dragging that grabber handle until we see the solid cyan line at the bottom. After that, we can release the cursor. Now, if we expand the panel again, we can see that Properties and Info are still nested with one another. But History is separate. Alright, now let's collapse these by clicking on the right arrow. Now let's go ahead and understand how we can change the panel nesting. For example, here Swatches and the Color are nested together. To put the Swatches with the Libraries and Adjustments, we can click on the word Swatches or in the tab area and drag down until we see the cyan rectangle around that panel, and then we can release the cursor. Now, if we want the Swatches to appear first, we can do so by clicking and dragging the tab. We can appear Swatches in its own group also by clicking and dragging up a little bit and then down until we see just that solid cyan line, and then we can release the cursor. Sometimes panels automatically collapse if there isn't space in the panel grouping. For example, if we click Layers panel, we can see that the Libraries panel had to collapse in order to display it. If we want to drag the Swatches panel to be nested with this other column, we can click and drag on the tab until solid cyan line appears, and then we can release the cursor. We can right-click and choose to close a single panel. Or if it's a group of panels, we can right-click and choose to close the entire tab group. If the panels are expanded, we can choose Close a Panel or Close a Tab Group from the Flyout menu. Earlier, we learned how we can float an image. Let's understand now how we can float a panel. We can drag a panel, for example, the Adjustments panel out and over to the left-hand side to float it. The nice thing about floating panels is that we can drag this to a secondary monitor. We can close this floating panel easily by clicking this cross icon. We can minimize the panels by clicking them twice. We can hide them also by tapping the Tab key. Now, by default, Tab key hides not only the panels but also the toolbar. We can access the hidden tools or panels by keeping the cursor on their edges. To hide them again, we can move the cursor away from the edge. To bring the panels and tools back, we need to tap the Tab key again. If we only want to hide the panels but not the toolbar, we can use Shift Tab key. That's it in this tutorial. See you in the next tutorial.